Hello, my friend. Hello. Okay, I know I'm not Neil Diamond, but it seemed like kind of appropriate for the morning. Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to Front Porch Brunch, a weekend review of the news that we on occasion do to kind of get our bearings, keep ourselves straight, understand what's going on out there in the world, and if nothing else, get together as a group of people that have one thing in common, banging our heads into the wall because we don't understand any of this nonsense. But if nothing else, you may get a headache out of all this, but you will have fun doing it. My name is Brian Trippett. I am sometimes known in social media as the kind fella in the fedora, well, among other things. Fine fella in the fedora, the beau in the chapeau, the chap in the cap, the common man with common sense. But in this moment, as always, above all else, I am your host. We are on X, we are on Rumble, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please do me some favors as always. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe on Rumble and on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave some comments in chat. Don't be afraid to say hello. We love to have people stop by, pour themselves a cup of something, see if we can figure out what the heck is going on in the world and introduce yourself, particularly all y'all out there on Twitter. That app, WWG1, if it's already happened. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, speaking of X, I got to check on something today. Hang on a minute. Maybe we're having troubles. Maybe we're not. Okay. X is doing what it should. I got a notification from Streamlab that there may be troubles on X. So I'm just making sure that no, it looks like it's going through just fine. So yeah, we're hanging out on X, we're hanging out on Rumble, we're hanging out on YouTube. So say hello. Don't be afraid to let us know you're out there. And while you're at it, share the link around with your friends and say, hey, this guy's kind of funny, but he actually acts like he knows what he's talking about. So, and that's the nice part about this live stream. If you've never been here before, this live stream is to let people kind of give their views about what they think about the news. And Lord knows there's a lot of it to talk about. So we're like, okay, let's just get together and hang out and give our opinions and see what we can see. So let's see who is here this morning. I got an OMG out of Z Highness. Hello, baby. Now, look, it is very flattering to me that you compare me to a deity, but you really don't have to call me God. That's just a little over the top, even by your standards. Shalom, my dear. Let's see who else. I know WWG1 is here. Oh, my Lord, is he bringing the memes? Is he bringing the memes? Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. See, you're right. You've trained me well. I use the word starts with a T and ends with an R, which I'm not allowed to say. I use the word Twitter. Well, there we go again. And I had to start drinking. So there you go. Yeah, I know WWG1's in the house. Good morning, my dear. How are you? Wow, good to see you, you good looking thing, you. Oh my goodness. Yes. that was from 24 hours ago. Well, okay. Never let it be said I'm not paying attention to what my viewers write in the chat. So there you go. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. It is so good to have you guys here this morning. Yeah, if you're out there on X or you're out there on YouTube or Rumble or wherever you are, drop a comment, say hello. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun this morning. We got a whole bunch of memes. And we're gonna do something fun at the end of the live stream. WWG1 in his continual efforts to bring common sense news, but more importantly, the funny, has found a great collection of YouTube shorts, and we're going to check them out near the end of the show. Some of them we're going to incorporate while we're talking to each other today. But yeah, we're going to have some fun. We're going to hang out together for a while, get into a lot of different things. So let's just dive right in, as we are wont to do. And as you all know, the U.S. Olympics is taking place right now. A lot of and I have not really kept up with the medal count. How is the U.S. doing, by the way? All right, hang on a minute. Medal count 2026 Olympics. Hang on a minute. What's the tally right now? Okay, so we've got a total of 29. We're in second place. 10 gold, 12 silver, and 7 bronze. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good. All right. It looks like who's leading right now? Norway. Well, good for the Norwegians. Good for them. But anyway, the Winter Olympics is going on. And in everyone's efforts to try to participate or feel like they are a part of the American effort over in Italy, we are actually engaging in some Olympic sports back home. And if you wonder what I'm talking about, folks, do me a favor and check this out.
I feel like the bowling crowd.
Okay.
Wow,
Ooh,
well
Coors
done.
Light. Oh,
Nice.
Coors Light, almost a bullseye. All right, let's see. All right, now here's the
Pabst Light's
PBR.
failing.
Pabst Light's not doing too well. Okay, let's see. Who's next?
Good
Who's
angle,
next
good
in the
angle.
throwing competition? What's he got there? Oh, here comes Natural Light.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir. That's good. That's good.
the Coors Light team. Ooh.
So
Competition
like
is getting
shuffleboard,
fast
but
and furious
yeah.
here, folks.
different.
Hang on a minute. What else do we got here? Milwaukee. Yeah.
Beast.
Oh man, Milwaukee's no better off than PBR. That's terrible.
This is 2 points right now.
can hit it, yeah. If I can hit both of them.
Oh, so,
You could get a good,
points.
yeah.
Okay.
Miller Lite's going to win this.
All right,
You
here's
like,
Miller
good
Lite.
luck.
Let's see what happens here. Miller Lite going down the.
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect.
oh,
Couldn't
oh,
do
we
it
gotta
any
get
better
track.
than
We gotta get track.
Josh, you're a rock
Oh,
star, man.
just short of the bullseye. Oh my God. All right, one last competitor. Lots of pressure here. He sizes it up. He lets it go. Here it comes. Bush here. Knocks out PBR. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. The crowd goes wild. Oh my Lord. Hey, never let it be said that Americans did not find a way to support our athletes by trying to mimic what they do. You know, I'm just saying. Just saying. So have you guys heard about what's going on up in New York City? The new mayor up there, Mr. Mamdani, he's making all kinds of moves. And you know, New Yorkers have a funny tendency when it comes to politicians. They'll vote for somebody and then they almost have instant buyer's remorse. And if you wonder what I'm talking about, let's see. Mamdani's threatening to raise property taxes and raid New York City's reserve funds. The lady, I think, has a very good point. Boy, this free stuff sure does cost us a lot of money. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Oh, goodness. Goodness me. Well, now wait a minute. Now, hang on a second. How do you know that they got the beer from their dads? Going back to that previous video we watched. How do you know they got the beer from their dads? Okay, now this may be true. Now, this is probably true. They probably got the baking pans from their mothers. But how do we know they got the beer from their dads? Maybe they went out and bought the beer on their own. I mean, I'm just saying, you know. But yeah, up in New York City, I think voters are starting to realize that free stuff sure does cost a lot of money. Yeah, well, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? Oh boy. Yep. New York City, you are in deep doo-doo. Deep, deep doo-doo. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it has been said by many that pets have an uncanny knack for knowing how their owners feel, or, you know, especially when they're sick. Okay. However, I think this one pet owner is learning very quickly that it's not just an issue that your pet understands, you know, how you feel when you're sick. but they're even willing to take steps to do something about it when you do have a problem. And if you don't believe me, check this out. Hey, never let it be said the cats were not trying to be helpful. Okay. I don't want to hear a bad word ever said again about a cat. As a matter of fact, that one is in honor of our dear friend Zippy. So, Zippy, if you're out there and you're watching this, this one's for you, my friend. All right. What else have we got out there in the way of the merry memes? Oh, words of wisdom for the morning. Don't ever, ever make the mistake of messing with a seasoned citizen. Okay? Don't ever make that mistake. And if you wonder what I'm referring to, check this out.
I was in the McDonald's drive-thru this morning. The young lady behind me leaned on her horn and started mouthing some ugly things because I was taking too long to place my order. So when I got to the first window, I paid for her order along with my own. The cashier must have told her what I had done because as we moved up, she leaned out her window and waved to me. She began mouthing, thank you, probably feeling embarrassed that I had repaid her rudeness with kindness. When I got to the second window, I showed the server both receipts and I took her food too. Now she has to go back to the end and start all over again. Don't blow your horn at old people. We've been around for a long time.
Like I said, never, ever, ever mess with a seasoned citizen. They know how to get you. Here's this lady behind him, pays for her food. She thinks she's getting a free meal. No, he took her food. There's really nothing she can say about it. He bought it. So, yeah, do not mess with a seasoned citizen. That's all I'm saying. Now, this clip that we're about to play has absolutely no educational value. It has no redeeming social value. This is just, proof of something very true in comedy. There is absolutely nothing like a good fart joke to crack everybody up. And if you want proof of that, this gentleman we're about to see has absolutely proven you can be anywhere and a fart joke will crack up the crowd. So with that in mind, get ready to get your laugh on. Check this out.
Ooh, zesty. Drop it like it's hot. Bad idea. Look out! Hitting the gas.
Like I said, no redeeming social value at all. No serious commentary. That one's just to help you laugh. And it proves something that Larry the Cable Guy once said. There is nothing like a fart joke. Seriously. And if you, like I said, you need proof, there's some of it for you. All right. What else do we have this morning to get things warmed up around here? Oh, speaking of laughing, everybody, who watches the evening news, doesn't matter if it's your local station or your national broadcast or whatever, always believes that journalists are very serious people, and they, they absolutely do not, in any way, shape, or form, ever lose it on the air. You cannot get them to laugh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's not necessarily true. And if you want proof of that, then you need to watch this and enjoy.
Police are looking for a man who ran away after robbing a store.
Crucial development, Bob. Police have just dispatched a sketch of the...
Oh, man.
Officers have now arrested the suspect moments ago.
It really looks just like.
Yep, that's a dead ringer. I don't know who did that sketch, but I'll tell you one thing, buddy. They did a absolutely fabulous job. Absolutely looks just like him. Looks just like him. Oh, yeah, well, going back to the fart video, we can thank WWG1 for that one. Yes, that was all you, dude. All you. Yeah, but this the sketch is pretty much a dead ringer for this guy. Yeah. So let this be a lesson to you, folks. Contrary to what you may think.
Police are looking for a man who...
Contrary to what you may think, journalists out there can be made to laugh. They're not nearly as serious as you might otherwise believe. So there you go. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. What else have we got here? Yeah, a couple or three more. And for those of you out there on X who are watching this and you're like, man, these people are straight crazy. Yeah, we are. We got it. Look, we're going to get into the news, I promise you. Okay. But the Merry Memes section of this show is to help us laugh. Because like I say, the news these days is fairly depressing. So you got to find a way to laugh through it all. And by George, this audience is very good at bringing the funny. Absolutely great at bringing the funny. So, a lot can be said about the author J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter books, the Fantastic Beasts series, etc. And she does engage quite frequently with her followers on X. But this last engagement's actually pretty funny, and thought we'd bring it to you. Someone says to her, "You're actually radicalized past the point of salvation, aren't you?" To which Rowling replies, "Yes, I am. My husband called a priest last year and found the exorcism would cost around 500 pounds. I'm not saying my husband is tight, but he chose to buy a bottle of holy water and do it himself, which is why I'm still possessed of a demon that refuses to believe women have dicks." This is what you get when you have a do-it-yourself exorcism. Just saying. Oh boy. Oh boy, indeed. Men and women are always trying to find ways to engage their opposite and get them involved in projects that, the other person believes would be, kind of make their bond stronger. In other words, we do this activity together and it will cause us as a couple, be it, unmarried couple or even a married couple, it'll cause us to come together as two people who really bond and, are trying to work through whatever is going on. Okay, cool. Well, with that in mind, may I present you with evidence that may not always be the case? And with that, I hope you guys enjoy. Waiting for a good day to happen. Folks, listen, I understand that we all have a desire to get our spouse or our significant other involved in various projects because we want to try and bond with them. But folks, take it from me, depending on who it is you're talking about, there's just some moments when you ought not get them involved. If you need proof, watch this video again. I'm just saying. All right, one last meme, and then we're going to get down to some business here. The White House yesterday, in light of the Supreme Court ruling having to do with tariffs, which we're going to get into that subject here in just 1 second, put out something that is kind of funny, but actually on point. And it goes like this: keep calm and tariff on. And that is exactly what Donald Trump is going to do. So keep calm and tariff on. And I want to thank WWG1 and everybody else who made contributions to the Merry Memes this morning. Now, again, for those of you who are stopping by for the very first time, and you're like, man, these people are absolutely silly, but this is a lot of fun. How do I get involved in that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, right down here is my Twitter handle. And if you would not mind, if you really want to get involved, you can tag me on Twitter. My DMs are open, okay? You can DM me. You can drop me a line. You can tag me in something. If you got a meme or story idea that you'd like for us to talk about, hey, give it a shot. I mean, now the host reserves the right to use or not use what you submit, but more often than not, you put something in, odds are it's going to make its way to the screen. So, hey, take a shot. If you got a funny that you think is going to help people laugh, tag me. If you got a story you think we ought to be talking about, tag me with it. Let's see what happens. You want to talk about curling? Oh, Lord, the Canadians right now, I don't know what they're thinking. I have no idea what they're. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Canadians, I know they are going to the gold medal round in hockey. Did we win yesterday? And it's us versus the Canadians for the gold medal in hockey? I don't know. Somebody's got to check that one out for me. But oh my goodness, say hello to Miss Pate. Hello, darling. Pink poo. I'm not sure what that refers to, but okay. Pink poo. Now, there you go. Hey, good morning, Miss Patty. Glad to have you here, darling. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. Glad to have you all here. All right. Let us get into our first story of the morning. And I did not have this one necessarily on the list when I first put the live stream together, but as is a wont to happen, the content gods smile down upon me. So yesterday, the United States Supreme Court hands down a decision that everybody's been waiting on now for weeks. And it's a decision that everybody kind of had a pretty good idea going in how the court was going to rule. The only question is, how far would they take it? Well, and I really want to get your guys' opinion on this, because I'm of the mind that says, well, okay, so the court made a ruling. I'm not sure that it really has all that much impact, to be perfectly honest with you. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, let's go to this article I've got from NPR. And this will start off our news section for the morning. Headline: Supreme Court strikes down Trump's tariffs. Article by Nina Totenberg. My God, she's still at NPR. Nina's been there for, I can't even begin to imagine. How long has she been there now? Nina, I can remember her back in the 90s. How long has she been there now? Hang on. I got to look this up because this is bugging me now. She's been with NPR. My goodness, is 1975. Woo! That chick has been around. 1975. Good for her. she's still out there doing her thing. Anyway, back to this article. And again, the headline is Supreme Court strikes down Trump's tariffs. Article by Nina Totenberg. The United States Supreme Court said President Trump's tariff policies imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act are unconstitutional, dealing a major blow to the president's signature economic policy. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in a 6-3 opinion. Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Brett Kavanaugh dissented. Writing for the court's majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said Trump lacked the peacetime authority to use EPA to impose tariffs. Quote, in light of the breadth, history, and constitutional context of that asserted authority, he must identify clear congressional authorization to exercise it, Roberts wrote, concluding that Trump had not. Trump had argued persistent trade imbalances and the flood of fentanyl coming into the country presented a national emergency and posed a threat to national security. During arguments before the court last year, Trump's lawyers had said the president possessed the authority to issue tariffs. Roberts rejected that argument. Quote, when Congress grants the power to impose tariffs, it does so clearly and with careful constraints. It did neither here. Justice Kavanaugh, who wrote the principal dissent, noted that the court's decision had opened up a can of worms. The United States may be required to refund billions of dollars to importers who paid the IEEPA tariffs, even though some importers may have already passed the cost on to consumers or to others. As of last December, the court collected more than $130 billion in revenue from these tariffs. Kavanaugh pointed out that, quote, the court says nothing about whether, or if so, how, the government should go about returning the billions of dollars it has collected from importers. At issue in the case was the implementation of Trump's campaign pledge to impose massive tariffs on foreign imports. After his inauguration, Trump issued an executive order that initially imposed a tariff of at least 10% on all goods from most countries doing business with the U.S. Goods from countries like China have been hit with much higher tariffs, up to 145%, though they have since come down. Imports from allies like Canada and Mexico have been taxed at 25%. It's not a tax. It is not a tax. It is a tariff. Canada's rate was later increased to 35%, but the up and down fluctuating tariffs around the world spooked American businesses, prompting a court challenge containing the president had exceeded his authority in imposing the tariffs. In some 24 previous cases, the Supreme Court has been largely receptive to Trump's claims of presidential authority, but those victories came on the Supreme Court's emergency docket, allowing Trump policies to take effect on a temporary basis while the litigation played out in the courts. In contrast, the tariff cases are the real deal, where the court, having ordered full briefing and expedited arguments in the case, offering the justices the first real opportunity to say no to the president. On Friday, the day did just that. All right, let's talk about this for a minute. Everybody, well, not everybody, let me rephrase that. A lot of people on the political left and people who don't like Trump are just absolutely giddy with themselves right now. Okay? The Supreme Court, they put Trump in his place. He's not allowed to do this. Finally, there's a restraint on his power. No, there's not. Not really. I mean, and here's what I'm getting at. And a lot of people, a lot smarter than I am, have made this argument, but I think it's valid. Okay, the court said that he can't impose tariffs the way he did under this particular act, this act known as the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. Okay. Court didn't say he can't impose tariffs. The court never said that the president doesn't have the power to impose tariffs. It just said you can't do it the way you did it under this law that you're citing, which, by the way, Howard Lutnick. There's a lot of reasons why you ought to be gotten rid of, and this one, big boy, falls on you because according to reports, the reason that Trump structured these tariffs the way he did under IEEPA was on the recommendation from Lutnick. And by the way, there's another angle to the Lutnick story here. We'll get into it just a second. But Lutnick did Trump no favors here. Now, Kavanaugh, who wrote the dissenting opinion, does bring up a perfectly valid point. The court doesn't tell the executive branch how they're going to deal with the question of, okay, do you have to refund these tariffs? Okay, so if Trump should not have collected these tariffs under IEEPA, are we going to refund them? What are we going to do here? I don't know. And I don't think the court knows. I don't think the court knew what to do with it. Hold on to that. Hold on to that thought, my friend, because we're going to get into that here in just a second. So, I mean, everybody, like I said, everybody's just all, people who don't like Trump are just all a Twitter, no pun intended, and no WWG1. I'm not taking a drink for that one. A Twitter is a wholly different word than using the word Twitter. Well, you get my point. Anyway, they're all just happy with themselves, thinking that Trump has suffered a defeat here. No, he hasn't. No, he has not. Where's the defeat? Matter of fact, we've got part of. Let me find it here real fast. I'm pretty sure. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Hang on. Come on. I just had this thing here a minute ago. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. See if I can find this in a better print. Well, come on. Hang on, folks. Anyway, thought I had it. But yeah, Trump still got the power to impose tariffs. He just can't do it the way he did it under IEEPA. And guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen. Matter of fact, I've got a statement here from Secretary of the Treasury Bessent. Check this out.
I would also like to take a moment to address today's Supreme Court ruling, and I would note that I did not change a single word in my speech post the ruling. President Trump will always put our national security and Americans first. And as I have said before, the president has multiple tools in his toolbox. Let's be clear about what today's ruling was and what it wasn't. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs. 6 justices simply ruled that IEEPA authorities cannot be used to raise even $1 of revenue. This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities to replace the IEEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 tariff authorities that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges. Treasury's estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority, combined with potentially enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs, will result in virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026.
So, folks, like I say, I don't know why everybody's getting all happy with themselves about this, particularly if they're a Trump hater. He's still got the authority to impose tariffs. Still has the authority to do it. And he will do it. Matter of fact, yesterday, and I don't have the article pulled up for it here, Trump imposed a new 10% tariff on top of everything that he's already got going right now. So where's the victory? I mean, in all honesty, if you are a Trump hater, and I say this to people out there who may be watching this live stream and you don't, like Donald Trump, which is fine. That's your right to do so. Where's the victory here? You don't have one. All the court did was go like this. They slapped Trump on the wrist. He's still got the authority to impose tariffs. No one's stopping him from doing it. The court's not stopping him from doing it. You didn't win anything. And again, I am not trying to defend Donald Trump in this. I've got my criticisms of Trump, much like a lot of you guys do for various things and various issues. But on this one, whether I agree with the tariffs or not, and frankly, I have no problem with them, you have no victory. There's nothing for you to be happy about. He still gets to impose the tariff. What did you win? Nothing. Now, let us get into this question about Lutnick. Now, I want to go back to Kawan's comment, and Lutnick will make money off of this decision. Yeah. Now, there is a serious dispute. Oh, well, yeah, Besson is not one of my favorites either. But there's a dispute right now, and it has to do with Lutnick. I tell you what, there's about 4 or 5 people in Trump's cabinet right now that honestly he needs to toss them in the garbage can, fire them, just fire them. They need to go. I used to think Pam Bondi was near the top of the list. I don't know, man. It's a close first and second between her and Howard Lutnick. And I'll tell you why. I got a story here from Newsweek. And I said there's a dispute, and there is, because I don't have definitive proof on this one way or the other. But Newsweek's got a story here. Trump officials' sons may make tons of money after Supreme Court ruling. Article by Mandy Tahiri, we've got the following. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick's sons, Brandon and Kyle Lutnick, who lead financial services firm Cantor Fitzgerald's parent company, could benefit financially from the Supreme Court's Friday ruling that invalidated most of Donald Trump's sweeping emergency tariffs, a decision that opens the door to seeking refunds of duties already paid. The Supreme Court Friday decision focused on tariffs enacted through IEEPA, which has been a core pillar of his economic policy since Trump took office in January 2025. Trump has repeatedly announced, imposed, and paused and reinstated a slew of tariffs at varying rates on U.S. trading partners to curb immigration, drug trafficking, and reduce trade deficits. Go a little further into the article. Lutnick previously served as the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald before stepping down to become the Secretary of Commerce. Brandon and Kyle Lutnick now hold senior leadership roles at Cantor Fitzgerald and its parent company following their father's departure. Brandon serves as chairman while Kyle serves as executive vice chairman, overseeing the firm's affiliated businesses. Quote, Cantor Fitzgerald has never executed any transactions or taken risk on the legality of tariffs. Any report suggesting otherwise is completely false. Go a little bit further into the article. Now, here's why Cantor Fitzgerald is saying this, okay? In July 2025, Wired magazine reported that, quote, traders at the firm's investment banking subsidiary, Cantor Fitzgerald & Company, say they have the capacity to buy the rights to hundreds of millions of dollars in potential refunds from companies who have paid Trump's tariffs. Despite Lutnick's outspoken support for tariffs as Commerce Secretary, Cantor Fitzgerald has drawn scrutiny after reports said it explored deals that it would let investors profit if Trump's tariffs were struck down in court by buying rights to potential tariff refunds from companies that paid the duties. Okay. In a letter reviewed by Wired that summer, a Cantor Fitzgerald representative reportedly said the firm was willing to trade refund rights for 20 to 30% of the duties imposed. Now, that's Newsweek's version of it. I got another story here from Semaphore, and I'll put this up here for you guys. Howard Lutnick's old firm did not, in fact, profit from the Supreme Court tariff ruling. This is by Liz Hoffman, their business and finance editor. Cantor Fitzgerald is rejecting claims that it sold a product that would pay off if the Supreme Court ruled as it did Friday against tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, where Cantor's founder is the Commerce Secretary. Wired reported in July that Cantor was among Wall Street firms pitching a product tied to the outcome of the Supreme Court case. It cited an email sent by a Cantor salesman that said the firm had, quote, already put a trade through representing about 10 million of tariff refund rights and anticipate that number will balloon in the coming weeks. 2 Democrat senators called for an investigation. The CEO of one of the country's largest import logistics firms amplified the story. Now, going a little bit further into the article, oops, hang on. There we go. Cantor did consider selling the product, but decided against it after weighing the political sensitivities, according to a senior banker familiar with the matter. A Cantor spokesman said the salesman, quote, erroneously believed that the firm was likely to greenlight the business, then went out to look for the other side of the trade. Cantor Fitzgerald has never executed any transactions or taken any risk on the legality of tariffs. Any report suggesting otherwise is completely false. Now, again, take it for what it's worth. I'm just reporting both sides of this. I will say, however, if it is proven that Lutnick's sons made any money off of this Supreme Court ruling, if I were Trump, I'd walk straight into the Commerce Department and demand his resignation right there. Okay? Out. Yeah, and that's another reason why they ought to get rid of him. He's Lutnick's a lying sack of crap. He got to go, as they say. He got to go. Yeah, that's the simplest way to solve this. Open up the books at Cantor Fitzgerald. Let's find out. Did you guys engage in any trades between July 2025 and now that deal or that tie into the Supreme Court ruling? That's your simplest way of solving this. And I agree completely, Gypsy. That's what they ought to do. Will they do it? Why do I doubt it? So, well, hello, Mr. Tim Finman. Over on the Rumble side, Swampy Susie, Scam Blondie, then Frankie Boy gotta go in that order. Yeah, I ain't not getting any argument from me. So, welcome into the live stream. We're glad to have you here, sir. And we raise a glass in your general direction. So, there you go. No, this is not drain the swamp, my dear. We haven't even started trying to drain the swamp yet. And at the rate things are going, I don't think we're going to. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, that's where we're at. So the Supreme Court struck down Trump's authority under IEEPA, and Trump just gets to keep on putting tariffs in place. on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being a nothing burger and 10 being a cataclysmic event in the universe, it gets a 1. An absolute 1 as far as I'm concerned. So there you go. All right. It is 11:15 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. If you happen to be watching us, no matter where you may be, on X, on Rumble, on YouTube, wherever you are out there, well, welcome in. You have found your way to Front Porch Brunch. Now, wait a minute. Hang on a minute. What do you mean I'm making old man sounds? I'm simply trying to get comfortable in my chair. Thank you. Boy, I tell you. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube or Rumble, or both? And while you're at it, hit the thumbs up button this morning. Please hit the thumbs up button this morning. It would be very helpful to me. And also leave a comment on the live stream. It's also very helpful doing that. Share the link around with your friends. Do all those things for me. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Let us get into one of the other big stories from last week. Excuse me one second here while I reload the sipping cup. There we go. One of the other big stories from this week, and, I've been saying for the longest time, and of course you guys obviously realize this too, that the opening of the Epstein files, the release of them, is having major shockwaves around the world. Well, this week, another shockwave has been let go in Great Britain. But before we do that, I got to say hello to somebody. Robert Lowry, you handsome son of a gun. Fist bump to you. And glad to have you in the audience this morning, my friend. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. All right. A major shockwave. Wait. It's a can of Diet Coke, dude. Seriously? Listen to what he says. Exactly. I totally agree with that. But Great Britain had another major shockwave go off, and the Babylon Bee, being the hilarious people that they are, I will show you their response to what happened this week, but I think you're going to understand why. When I say a major shockwave, this one, how do I want to phrase this? Hang on a minute. Everyone has sort of known about this for a long time. Everyone who's known about it has sort of wondered whether the person involved would see any kind of justice. And I think justice is kind of broadly defined here, okay? They are starting to get some justice. I don't think they've gotten nearly the justice they deserve. And if you wonder what I'm talking about, this is from the Associated Press. Former Prince Andrew arrested and held for hours on suspicion of misconduct over ties to Epstein. Article written by Danica Kirka. We have the following. Dateline London. The former Prince Andrew was arrested and held for hours by British police Thursday on suspicion of misconduct in public office related to his links to Jeffrey Epstein, an extraordinary move in a country where authorities once sought to shield the royal family from embarrassment. For the first time in nearly 4 centuries that a British royal was placed under arrest, and it underscored how deference to the monarchy has eroded over the years. King Charles III, whose late mother lived by the motto, never complain, never explain, took the unusual step of issuing a statement on the arrest of his brother, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Quote, Let me state very clearly, the law must take its course, the king said. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on the matter. Well, I've got the full statement. I've got the full statement here. So give me 1 second. Here we go. A statement from His Majesty the King. I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I have said before, we have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state very clearly, the law must take its course. As this matter continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all. Charles R. Well, good morning, my dear. Mwah. Glad to have you out there with us, as always, chiming in. Oh, I saw that too. He was arrested on his 66th birthday. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, all right, let's get into this for a minute. Let me go back to that AP article for a minute. There's some stuff there we want to cover. The police force, which covers areas west of London, including Mountbatten Windsor's former home, said Thursday that a man in his 60s from Norfolk had been arrested and was in custody. Police did not identify the suspect in line with standard procedures in Britain. Mountbatten Windsor moved to the king's private estate in Norfolk after he was evicted from his longtime home near Windsor Castle earlier this month. Police previously said they were, quote, assessing reports that Mountbatten Windsor sent trade information to Epstein, a wealthy investor and convicted sex offender, in 2010, when the former prince was Great Britain's special envoy to the International Trade Court. Special envoy for international trade. Correspondence between the two men was released by the Justice Department late last month, along with millions of pages of documents from the American investigation into Epstein. Quote, following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office, Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright said in a statement. So they're not going after him because of, reports of pedophilia or anything else. They're going after him because he may have given sensitive information to Epstein. Okay. Folks, I'm just going to give you my take on the matter, all right, for what it's worth. I think in one sense, Gypsy's absolutely right. This was purely for show. However, I also think that this is not just the royal family, but this is Great Britain's way of lifting up the corner of the rug and sweeping a problem under the rug and dropping the rug back down. Andrew is going to be used as, I don't want to use the word scapegoat because scapegoat's not the right term I'm looking for here. Andrew is going to be used as, God, what phrase am I looking for here? He's going to be used. Well, maybe that's the better way of saying it. He's going to be used. He's going to be used so the British can say, well, we've done our job on Epstein. Hey, we got the guy in jail. You guys wanted his scalp. There you go. You got it. Patsy? Is that the word I'm looking for? But then again, that's not true either, because it's kind of obvious to everybody looking at the Epstein files. There's a little more going on between Jeffrey Epstein and the royal formerly known as Prince Andrew. There's a bit more going on, but than just, the casual, hey, I'm going to come to the island thing. Okay. There is some funky stuff. And I'm not trying, when I use that phrase, I'm not trying to be dismissive of the seriousness of the charges against Andrew. Okay. if he is alleged to have done what people think he's done, hey, you know my response. Introduce him face first to the front end of a wood chipper. I got no problem with that. Let him have it. He deserves it. Okay. But why do I get the feeling his brother is going to use Andrew to try and sweep the royal family's problems here under the rug? Okay. I really, well, fall guy, gall guy might be a good way of putting it. You know, patsy, scapegoat. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Could be. Yeah, could be that too. Could be totally that too. Oh, you want him introduced feet first. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll take your word for that. Although, if you've been introducing people feet first to the front end of a wood chipper, it's okay. We need to have a talk. Okay. But yeah, and why do I get the feeling that's what's going on here? Great Britain, be it the monarchy, polite society in London, however you want to describe them, whatever. Why do I get the feeling they're going to use Andrew to kind of like wash their hands of the whole thing? Hey, we gave you guys Andrew. You know, he's a dirtbag. It's obvious. Do whatever you want to do with him. We're out of here. No. There is so much more. Okay. There is so much more right now regarding Epstein and the British government that needs to shake out. Just giving everybody Andrew, that's not going to be enough. It is not going to be enough. Matter of fact, back to that AP article for a second. Police search Mountbatten Windsor's Sandringham home and his former residence of the Royal Lodge at Windsor. Allegations being investigated Thursday are separate from those made by Virginia Gettr, who claimed she was trafficked to Britain to have sex with the prince in 2001 when she was just 17. Gettr died by suicide last year. Nah, I don't think it was suicide. Still, Gett's sister-in-law, Amanda Roberts, said she was overjoyed when she got a phone call at 3 a.m. telling her the news of the arrest. But those feeling elation were quickly complicated by the realization she couldn't share the feelings of vindication with Gettr. So, yeah. Yeah. I really do. The shockwaves off of the Epstein files continues, which by the way, when do we start getting some arrests here in the U.S. For people connected with Epstein? I mean, it is happening all over the world. Various governments in various countries right now are being shaken to the foundations because of the stuff being turned loose in the Epstein files. Is anything happening here in America? Nope. Nothing. Well, that's what you get when you get Pam Bondi. Well, yeah, but it wouldn't. I have a bad feeling it wouldn't matter if it's Pam Bondi or not. There are various people in this country, okay, that need to answer or need to be brought to account for the associations that they had with Jeffrey Epstein. There are questions that need to be asked of them, which, by the way, we've got a couple of clips from Les Wexner. Whee! Was this interesting? We'll get to those a little bit later. But yeah, where are the arrests here in the U.S.? And look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I know you guys out there have been following this story a whole lot more closely than I have. Okay? You could probably name me everybody that definitely deserves, at a minimum, to be given the third degree over this. I would like to see it start happening. I really would. I really, really would. But in Great Britain, at least, things are starting to shake loose. Where does it go from here? I don't know. And you may be right. You may be absolutely right, Gypsy. Nothing may happen to the guy. You know. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. And if you want to, here's a look for you. Yeah, well, there's a word for what's going on with your friends. PSYOP. They've been PSYOPed. They have definitely been PSYOPed. Excuse me. And there's a picture that's been released of the royal, formerly known as Prince Andrew, when he left the magistrate's office or the jailhouse. Yeah. There's old Andrew. The fall from grace is pretty spectacular. Truly. Now, to give you an idea of how serious this is getting, and I don't understand how this hasn't happened yet. Okay. Hang on just a second. There we go. I thought that when he was stripped of his titles last year, that he was already taken out of succession to the throne. Apparently, that's not the case. I got a story here from the BBC. Government considers removing Andrew from royal line of succession. Article by Richard Wheeler and Nick Erdley. We have the following. The government is considering introducing legislation to remove Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from the line of succession. Defense Minister Luke Pollard told the BBC the move, which would prevent Andrew from ever becoming king, was, quote, the right thing to do regardless of the outcome of the police investigation. Currently, Andrew, the king's brother, remains 8th in line to the throne, despite being stripped of his titles, including prince, last October amid pressure over his ties to pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. On Thursday evening, Andrew was released under investigation 11 hours after his arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He has consistently and strenuously denied any wrongdoing. Speaking to the BBC's Radio 4 Any Questions program, Pollard confirmed the government had, quote, absolutely been working with Buckingham Palace on the plans to stop the former prince from, quote, potentially being a heartbeat away from the throne. Pollard said this was something that I hope will enjoy cross-party support, but it's right that this is something that only happens when the police investigation concludes. Oh, guys, they are absolutely using him for the scapegoat. And like I said, I'm a little surprised that he's even still in line for the throne. Sadly, Robert, here in the U.S., I think you may be right, brother. I think you may be right. But yeah. And now, Andrew does have a legal defense right now that's, he's trying to implement. Apparently he's ready to join a UK Muslim rape gang so he can go on abusing. So that's the plan anyway, according to the Babylon Bee. So take that for what it's worth. All right. Give me just a second here, folks. I want to kind of get my items in order here. One moment. There we go. Okay. So, what else has happened last week? Well, it hasn't happened, but it's happening. That's a great question. I don't know if Andrew has set up a GoFundMe account yet or not. That might be something we want to investigate. to help poor old Andrew with his legal defense fund, because Lord knows he needs all the help he can get. Bless his heart. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. Hang on a second, folks. Now, when I say it hasn't happened yet, but we're still marching toward it, did you guys happen to see this headline last week? I think this came out Thursday or Friday from Fox News. Trump gives Iran 10-day ultimatum, but experts signal talks may be buying time for strike. Iranian sources tell Fox News Digital that Tehran understands the war risk, but cannot accept missile program limitations. Article by Efrat Latcher, we have the following. President Trump said in June he would decide, quote, within the next 2 weeks whether to strike Iran. He made the decision 2 days later. On Thursday, he gave Tehran another deadline, saying the Islamic Republic had 10 to 15 days to come to the negotiating table or face consequences. The compressed timeline now sits at the center of a new round of high-stake nuclear diplomacy, but with Trump, deadlines can serve as both a warning and a weapon. Jason Brodsky, policy director at the United Against Nuclear Iran, told Fox News Digital, quote, the Iranian regime has been operating under a grand delusion that it can turn President Trump into Obama, and Trump has made it clear that's not happening. Brodsky said there is little expectation inside the administration that diplomacy will produce a breakthrough. Quote, I think there's deep skepticism in the Trump administration that this negotiation is going to produce any acceptable outcome, he said. Quote, instead, the talks may serve a dual purpose. Quote, they're using the diplomatic process to sharpen the choices of the Iranian leadership and to buy time to make sure we have the appropriate military assets in the region, Brodsky said. A Middle Eastern source with knowledge of the negotiations told Fox News Digital, Tehran understands how close the risk of war feels and is unlikely to deliberately provoke Trump at this stage. However, the source said Iran cannot accept limitations on its short-range missile program, describing the issue as a firm red line set by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Iranian negotiators are not authorized to cross that boundary, and conceding on missiles would be viewed internally as equivalent to losing a war. The source indicated there may be more flexibility about uranium enrichment parameters if sanctions relief is part of the equation. According to Brodsky, Iran's core positions remain unchanged. They're trying to engage in a lot of distractions, shiny objects, to distract from the fact they're not prepared to make the concessions that President Trump is requiring of them. Iran's positions does not change and have not changed fundamentally. They refuse to accept President Trump's zero-on-zero enrichment. They refuse to dismantle their nuclear infrastructure. They refuse limitations on Iran's missile program, and they refuse to end support for terror programs. Okay, let's talk about this for a few minutes, because I'm going to take a contrarian's view and probably get myself in trouble, but oh well, what else is new, okay? I have a question for not just my audience, but anybody watching this live stream, okay? And I am genuinely serious with this question. What are we trying to do here? Oh, come on, Brian. You know exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. And what if they do? Oh, you can't be serious. You can't want these guys getting nuclear weapons. Listen, I didn't say I necessarily want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. But then again, who are we to tell the Iranians they can or cannot have a nuclear weapon? Now, I know what people listening to this are saying to themselves right now. Boy, you have gone around the bend. You are betraying Israel. You are no. Let's just pull back from this and get dispassionate for a minute, okay? There are a lot of countries around the world that have nuclear weapons, okay? India happens to have nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. The Chinese have nuclear weapons. The Russians have nuclear weapons. You know, the only country that has turned loose their nuclear weapons as an offensive weapon? The United States. And we did it twice in World War II. Yeah, we did it twice in World War II. Ever since then, with the exception of testing and that sort of thing, nobody has used a nuke on another nation. We used 2 nuclear weapons against the Empire of Japan. So I asked the question again. All right, let's assume for a moment that the Iranians got a nuclear weapon tomorrow. Let's assume they've made the decision to go forward and give themselves a nuclear weapon. Okay? So what? So what? So they've got a nuclear weapon. Well, they're going to use it against Israel. How do you know that? Well, they don't like Israel. Well, that's all right. The Israelis don't like them. The Israelis may or may not have nuclear weapons. Does anybody see the Israelis using nuclear weapons on Iran? No. I mean, WWG1 brings up a really good point. MAD, mutually assured destruction. The old doctrine that says, hey, 2 sides have a nuclear weapon. They both realize if we turn loose these babies, we're both destroyed. It's the doctrine that kept the U.S. and the Soviets from annihilation for the better part of 70 years during the Cold War. Okay? Why is it that everybody is assuming that the Iranians are less rational than we are and were for 70 years? Now, and don't get me wrong. I am not here trying to defend the Iranian regime. I think, I would love to see the Iranian people have a more democratic government, however they want to define that for themselves. But again, who are we to tell any nation you cannot have a nuclear weapon? Hell, we got gobs of the things. And by the way, who are we to tell any nation they cannot have a nuclear program? Again, I am not trying to say that the leadership in Tehran is as pure as the driven snow, and I'm not trying to do that at all. Okay, I'm trying to come to this with dispassionate neutrality. But I don't understand why there is such an absolute fever to keep Iran where they are. Do I think they have the capability of doing all kinds of evil if they did acquire a nuclear weapon? Yeah, I think they got the capability. Guess what? We have the capability of doing it. Everybody else does that has a nuclear weapon. I don't understand why we are absolutely hell-bent for leather to stop the Iranians from having a nuclear weapon. Well, I don't know that I want a personal nuclear weapon, but yeah, you get the point. Trump, let's see. One more over Matt is still working now, in fact. Oh, okay. All right. Lana says, I think people assume Iran is less rational because of the way they brutalize their own people, particularly the women. Okay. And you know what? Fair point. That's an absolutely fair point. Okay. Yeah, I think the Iranian regime is absolutely brutal. I think they're dictatorial. They don't believe in freedom, at least in any way that I understand it anyway. But again, why are we doing this? Which goes to another question that I have, which again, I'm sure you guys are asking this question in one form or another. Okay. It ain't our fight. Why are we getting involved in it? Well, our good friend Israel. Oh, really? You want to go there? You want to go there? Our good friend Israel, huh? Our good friend Israel has been saying for 30 years Iran is weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. That good friend Israel? Or maybe it's better to say our good friend Benjamin Netanyahu, who's been saying for 30 years the Iranians are weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. We've got to stop them. See, I think there's the thing that just galls me the most in all this. We're being used, or maybe it's better to say we are allowing ourselves to be used. I mean, the Israelis have been wanting to just curb stomp Iran for decades. And now they think they've got a president willing to help them do it. Oh, okay. Again, completely fair point. I'm not saying that they're the best regime in the world. I understand that. But again, just because they're a bunch of wackos, does anybody really think they'd really be legitimately does anybody really think they'd be crazy enough to let go a nuke? I mean, seriously. I mean, and Gypsy brings up a really good point. Pakistan's very brutal. India can be brutal. There are no nice guys in this, but yet we are absolutely marching in lockstep with the current government of Israel to stop the Iranians. Why? I've got a friend of mine. She's from Southeast Texas. And she has an expression that I absolutely love. You guys have heard me use it before. If it ain't my chicken, I'm not plucking it. Somebody explained to me how this is somehow our chicken and we've got to pluck the feathers on it. Look, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. If the Israelis want to wage war against Iran, do I think it's a really good idea? No, I don't. Are you at liberty to do it? Knock yourselves out. Go ahead. You get everything that goes with it, but don't expect us to back you up. We shouldn't be expected to do it. But they're our allies, and an enemy of Israel is an enemy of the United States. Really? Prove that. Look, if the Iranians wanted to make mischief with us, and don't get me wrong, they've had their hand over the past 40 years in the Middle East, stirring up all kinds of stuff against the interests of the United States. I get that. But if the Iranians really wanted to make an enemy of us, they could have launched all the weapons that they needed to a long time ago to make that. Do you know that we've got upwards of about, God, what was the number I saw? Have I got that chart handy? Hang on a minute. I want to see if I've got this handy. One moment, guys. I saw a map a little bit earlier. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. I want you guys to look at something. And again, this comes from a website called MiddleEastEye.net. Okay. Look at the number of troops that are stationed in various places around the Middle East. Hang on a minute. There's 4,500. Yeah, call it 5,000. 8,800. Call that 11,000. 24,000. 33,000. 43,000. Close to 50,000. If this source is to be believed, okay, in a 2,000 kilometer radius, we've got upwards of 45 to 50,000 U.S. troops already stationed in the Middle East. If Iran really wanted to make mischief with the U.S., they could do it. I mean, they've got ballistic missile capabilities. They proved that during the 12-day war against Israel. Okay. If Iran really wanted to make that kind of mischief, they could go ahead and do it. They could launch missiles. They could, go to, guerrilla style tactics like they did, like was done during the Iraqi occupation. Okay. Again, are they really our enemy, or are we being told they're our enemy? Again, I am not trying to excuse the actions of the regime in Tehran. I think they are a brutal dictatorship. But there are a lot of brutal dictatorships in the world, and some of those brutal dictatorships have nuclear weapons. I don't see us launching campaigns to try and change those regimes. But yet we are just in a fevered pitch. We've got to stop Iran. We've got to stop Iran. We've got to stop Iran. Why? Well, if we don't stop them, they're going to launch against Israel. Okay, that's not a good thing. But again, how's that our problem? Oh, you're just being very laissez-faire about this. No, I'm being what I consider to be rational about this. I'm being what I consider to be old school national interest. And by old school, I mean this. There was a time when there were realists who were running foreign policy in Washington, D.C., and they had a very simple doctrine. We don't start using U.S. military assets or military personnel unless there is a vital and obvious national security interest. There is no vital national security interest that demands that we be there, that we start doing this stuff. But it's not, and you're right, I will be accused of this. I will be accused of it, but it's not isolationism. And I know you're joking with me, and I appreciate the joke, WWG1, but it's not isolationism. It's not isolationism to demand of your government that they don't use our military's assets, our people, our weapons, our whatever it may be. It's not an unreasonable expectation to demand that they actually use them in our national interest, not somebody else's, not Israel's, ours. And going back talking about Israel, Mr. Scott, awesome. Good morning to you, sir. Israel stole nuclear secrets. Now there are stories claiming Trump better help or they'll use those nukes on Iran. Great ally, huh? Well, funny you bring that up. And welcome into the live stream, by the way. I mean, according to reports, and again, take it for what it's worth, it's unverified, and we may never, ever be able to verify this. But back last year, the Israelis supposedly told Trump, if you don't help us with this, we'll just go in and launch our own nuclear weapons. If that's actually what happened, if that is actually what happened, had I been Trump, I probably would have looked at them and said, okay, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Launch your nuclear weapons. But the Israelis will never do that. And there's a reason. See, and y'all stop me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, okay? But the Israelis have never actually admitted to having nuclear weapons. Everybody has strongly suspected they've got them, but the Israelis have never officially come out and said, we have nuclear weapons. Because if they do, that opens them up to inspection. It opens them up to the terms of certain treaties that have been signed on to all around the world, which say, hey, if you got nuclear weapons, we're allowed to come in and inspect your arsenal. The Israelis are never going to do that. So again, if this story is true, and they tried to blackmail Trump by saying, if you don't help us out, we're going to go in and use our nuclear weapons. If I'd have been Trump, I'd have said, go for it. I really would have. First of all, nobody gets to blackmail the United States. And second of all, if the Israelis had done that, they open themselves up to all kinds of other problems. So, no, well, yeah, everybody strongly suspects it, but the Israelis had never copped to it. That's the whole deal. You know. Now, what's going on as far as the negotiations? Because there are negotiations that are taking place, believe it or not, in Geneva. Got some perspective from our friends at the Duran, Alex Cristofaro and Alexander Macoris. Here's their latest take on the whole situation.
I cannot imagine that the Iranians are going to agree to this. What the Iranians are going to do is they're going to say no. The meeting that took place in Geneva this week was a disaster. It was a debacle. Again, it's not obvious that this is so because the Iranians officially are trying to talk up the outcome. They're saying that the meeting went well, the discussions went well. They're now going to provide a written proposal. Whatever written proposals they provide, for a consortium to look after the enrichment, for Rosatom, the Russian monopoly, to come in and deal with the enrichment. They are proposals which the United States has already rejected. So this is an ultimatum that the Iranians are bound to refuse. And as to the negotiations, my sense is that the Iranians are doing exactly what you're saying. They're stringing out the negotiations as long as they can so that they can prepare for the strike they now know is going to come and buy themselves as much time to prepare for the strike as they can. And as for the Americans, as for Trump, I think they're now so far in that I don't think there's any conceivable way that they can back off. If Trump were to agree to the kind of proposals the Iranians are making, the critics in the US, the people who want an attack on Iran, the neocons, the donors, the Israelis, the people who he has already basically handed himself over to, will come back and say to him, this is the JCPO or JCPOA all over again. You've led us up this hill. You've led us down this hill. You're a useless, weak president, and we are not prepared to support you anymore.
Yeah. Both sides are locked in. Now, my prayer is that somehow this does not happen. Because if we wind up launching military strikes against Iran again, which we said we weren't going to do, don't need to, remember last June, hey, we've destroyed their nuclear capabilities. Then why are we coming back doing this again? I don't know. I don't know, my friends. I don't know. So that's where we be. That's where we be. Now, what kind of military assets have we got in the area? Aside from personnel. You got the Gerald Ford strike carrier group entered in the Mediterranean now. You've got a couple of destroyers in the U.S. Roosevelt and the U.S. Bocale. You got combat destroyers off the shores in Saudi Arabia. You got fighter jets deployed at an Air Force base. In the Red Sea, you got the Delbert Black. And in the Arabian Sea, you got a second carrier strike group, the Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, and here's the scary part. Here's the scary part. But you know, it's funny you bring that up. I want to look at something real quick. There's one thing I've never quite understood. Here's the Straits of Hormuz right here. Okay, where my pointer's at. Why hasn't somebody dug a canal right through there and take away Iran's choke point? I have never understood that. Never understood that. Just dig a canal. UAE is right here. Oman is right there. Just dig a canal. Anyway, a side note. And if you wonder how it's going for our sailors out there in the Mediterranean and in the Gulf of the Persian Gulf, etc., well, we have some video highlights from inside the ships. Check this out.
Do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor? What will we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, put him in the brig until he's sober. Put him there.
Look, I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't want to be drunk out there on those waters. That's just crazy. Straight crazy. So yeah, we might be right on the edge of a major military conflict with a nation that, by the way, has never, ever launched against us. We have not been attacked directly. We have not been attacked directly by the Republic of Iran. Good morning. Well, good afternoon now, Professor Tie-Dye. Glad to have you in the audience this morning. Good to have you here. Oh, I totally agree with this. Totally. Absolutely. I agree with that, brother. And I think that may be part of the risk that Trump's calculating here. At least I hope he is. I hope he is. All right. Let's move on to some other items. And I had this advertised in the headline for the live stream. Did you guys happen to see any of the clips from Les Wexner's testimony? Yeah. Say that 10 times fast. Any excerpts from Les Wexner's testimony, I guess before the House Oversight Committee. If you haven't seen these, you're in for something here. Check this out.
Done personal work for the Rothschild family in France. Well, specifically, I talked to Ellie de Rothschild, and so I mentioned that earlier. So he represented their whole family. So there have been a whole bunch of people. Most of them I never would have met, but I knew Ellie. He would say, like, I'm providing financial advice to the founders of Google. I'm providing financial advice to Jeff Bezos.
Now, what you're about to see next, and is the clip that is everybody is seeing on the internet. Apparently, Wexner's lawyer, having heard enough of this, reached over to Wexner and said the following. Now, listen very, very carefully on this, okay? Listen very carefully to what's said here. Now, by the way, everybody is like, oh my God, he's trying to shut him up. Yeah, that's what your attorney's supposed to do. Any attorney worth their salt will tell you when you go into a deposition, you answer with yes or no. That's it. Don't give them any more than you absolutely have to. Now, like I said, everybody's just like, oh my God, this lawyer, he's trying to shut down the truth from coming out. No, he's trying to protect his client's exposure. Now, you can say that Wexner should not be protected, and that's fine. But the lawyer's doing his job here, or trying to anyway. His client is just, he's running off at the mouth. Which again, when you go into a deposition, you never want to do that. So I'm not necessarily going to give the lawyer a hard time about this. Granted, he's representing somebody who, he's representing somebody who, frankly, I think is a scumbag. Well, that's true too. Like he's got any worries, but still, he's got to have decent legal representation. But yeah, I'm not going to give the lawyer too much grief about this at all. So hang on one second, folks. But yeah, that clip is absolutely making its way around the internet. Oh, and speaking of clips making their way around the internet, did you guys see any of the interview between Tucker Carlson and U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee? Ooh, my Lord. I got about 3 or 4 of them here. And you guys need this. If you haven't seen these yet, you're either going to have your blood pressure go up, you're going to sit there and shake your head, and you're going to be like, oh my Lord. So like I said, I got a couple or 3 of these. So Tucker Carlson gets into a conversation with Huckabee about Israel and their right to own land in the Middle East. Okay. Let me make sure I got the right one pulled up here real quick. Yeah, this will do it. Guys, get ready to make your heads explode.
In the entirety of the world, there are about 6 million Jews total. And 8 million of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida and a few other places.
Okay.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
How do we know that?
Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point.
But
so how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible, the land.
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right to be here?
Very much speaks the language. He has fought for the land. His family has fought for the land.
You're dodging a very obvious question, which is, where does this right come from? And the reason it's meaningful is because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work?
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their
But how do we know they have any connection
they're
to
Jewish
the
by
Jews
their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by the connection to the language. Jewish by the connection to the Torah.
But how do we know that Bibi, specifically Bibi's ancestors, ever lived here? How do we know that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
How do we know if the Prime Minister of Israel's ancestors ever lived?
Maybe I could ask you, how do we know they didn't? I mean,
well, it's on the basis of the claim that they did that all kinds of things happen. People are displaced. There's a money flow. I mean, it's a big question. A lot hangs on this. It's not some theoretical thing like, oh, did my grandparents do this or do that? It's like, no, we have a right to be here because my ancestors were here. Okay, how do we know they were here?
I'm totally unable to process what you're trying to get at.
And that's just one of them, folks. That's just one of the exchanges. I mean, I'll play one more, but you get an idea how this went. Let me see here. Yeah, here's a good one. Having to do with Israel and the Iraq War. Again, folks, check it out.
How many boots on the ground has the U.S. placed on behalf of Israel?
However many went to Iraq. We did that for Israel.
No, I don't think we did.
But you said we did it because of 9/11?
That was the U.S. justification for it.
But it wasn't for 9/11. So what was the actual reason?
Well, the U.S. government told us it was for 9/11. They told us that they were part of it, that they had weapons of mass destruction.
But they knew they had nothing to do with 9/11, obviously.
Maybe
There's no
not.
evidence.
But I'm
so what was the actual
Israel
reason?
was not in that component. But
Israel had no influence on our decision to invade Iraq. That's not what the people who made the decision say. They say Israel.
Well, let me get back to the point.
Gave us that information about the fake weapons of mass destruction. Where do you think that came from?
Was,
it came from Bibi.
How many Americans put their boots on the ground for Israel? The answer is zero.
Everybody who served in Iraq put their boots on the ground for Israel.
Did not.
Where did we get the information about the weapons of mass destruction that wasn't real?
We didn't get that from. You're saying we got that from Israel? That Israel was one pushed us into that?
Well, absolutely.
You really believe that?
I know that for a fact. And so does Yes, this has been widely written about and discussed. And I'm not attacking Israel. Like, they thought it was in their interest to take out a government that was paying the families of suicide bombers. I get it. I'm not mad at Israel about that. I never have been. I'm mad at the Bush administration and all the people who went along with this to the detriment of my country. That's who I'm mad at, not Israel. Bibi's doing what he can for his country, whether you agree with him or not. I want my leaders to do the same for my country. That's it.
Well, there's some more isolationists for you. And the irony of it is, if you question anything related to the current government of Israel, and please note, I make a very important distinction, or I try to anyway. I make a distinction between the people of Israel and their government. You know, one of my favorite online personalities uses a quote from Muhammad Ali from back in the 60s, when Ali was declining to be drafted to go to Vietnam. Muhammad Ali very famously said, "No Viet Cong ever tried to kill me, and I ain't tried to kill no Viet Cong." In other words, I got nothing against them. They got nothing against me. You know, I got nothing against the people of Israel. They're just trying to live their lives. Same way the people of Palestine, or the Palestinians, are trying to live their lives. Okay. My quarrel in all this is with the current government of Israel as headed up by Benjamin Netanyahu, and always has been. Oh, good afternoon, my dear, or good morning, whichever way you want to look at it. We're glad to have you here. Mwah. Good to see you, darling, and hope you're feeling better every day. So yeah, just all kinds of stuff going on out there in the world, folks. All right. Tell you what, we're going to start bringing the train into the station, but as we do, we're going to have some fun doing it. WWG1 found some absolutely great YouTube shorts that I think definitely need to be played. And you know what? These are just for pure fun. There's not anything political or anything else. I just thought you guys might enjoy them, and I think WWG1 thought the same thing. So with that, we're going to run through a few of these. So check this out.
Goes unpunished. The city tried to charge him with unlicensed commerce for helping his neighbor. The judge wasn't having it.
They pushed a big pile right across her driveway. The woman is 80 years old, Judge. It was wet, heavy snow. She can't be out there digging the snow. I just cleaned it up so she could get out. I didn't ask for anything, Your Honor.
He was operating a commercial blade on a public road without a vendor permit or liability insurance. We can't have unvetted drivers working on city streets. If he hits a hydrant or a parked car, the city gets sued. It's a liability issue, Your Honor.
You cited him for, what was it?
Unlicensed commerce.
Did he get paid?
No, Your Honor.
No? Then he's just a neighbor digging out a mess the city made. The ticket is invalid. Next case.
That's a smart judge. At least I think so anyway. All right. Here's another one for you. Oh, and now this one's going to make your blood boil. For those of you out there who are car collectors and you're really into cars and stuff like that, this one is going to make your blood boil. Okay? But the judge does the right thing in the end. And with that, here you go.
1987 Buick for $500. They called it an eyesore. Watch the judge hit them with an eye-watering bill.
Your Honor, the car had a flat tire and faded paint. It violated our appearance standards for 3 weeks. We sent notices, got no response. We towed and sold it for scrap. It's just an old Buick.
I was on a business trip. That old Buick is a 1987 Grand National GNX. Only 547 were made. It's original factory paint, not faded. The buyer already stripped it for parts. That's $185,000 gone, Your Honor.
You entered private property and sold a collector's car for scrap just because of the paint? That's theft, not rule enforcement. Judgment, $185,000. HOA is banned from towing vehicles immediately.
An HOA.
Now, yeah. The HOA towed off a $185,000 car because they didn't like the color of the paint. That'll teach them. All right. What else do we have here? What else do we have? You know, I have been missing football ever since the Super Bowl ended. But this one is at least, I think, going to help me get by. You guys enjoy this one. Give him the ball. What I don't understand in all of that, why didn't they just give him the ball? Yeah, exactly. I agree with you there. I agree with you. Totally agree with you on that. All right. What else do we have here? What else do we have? Lesson for you folks. Never take your cats grocery shopping. Zippy, if you're watching this, I know what you're out there saying. So just chill out, brother. Just chill out. All right. With that, never take your cats grocery shopping, and here's why.
All right, buddy, let's ring this up. Just one second. Oh, wow. Oh, my. Okay. I've never seen a cat, buddy.
Yeah, apparently he didn't want to let go of it. Crazy. Crazy. One more. And for those of you of a certain age, I think you're going to enjoy this so much. Oh, wait a minute. Don't start that. Okay. For those of you of a certain age, I think you're going to enjoy this very. And there you go, folks. Yeah. Memories is right. Memories is absolutely right. Oh, you don't think that Buick is worth $187,000? Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. All right. We're going to bring this train into the station. I want to thank you guys for stopping by this morning, whether you're out there on X, on Rumble, on YouTube, wherever you may be out there. Thanks for stopping by for Front Porch Brunch. I'm going to be back this Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We're going to do a live stream then. I will be out of town next weekend doing some traveling. So I want to try and get a live stream in around the beginning of the week at least, because Wednesday and Thursday I got stuff going on. Friday I'm on the road. So plan on being here this coming Tuesday night, 7 p.m. And to WWG1, to everybody who's contributed memes and other stuff, thank you so much. You guys are an absolute joy. And it's the weekend. Go spend some time with your family, take a nap, do whatever you feel you need to do. But try and get the batteries recharged, and let's see if we can all make it through another week of this crazy thing we call life. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, again, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, we will be here. And in the meanwhile, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." I love you guys very much. We'll catch up with you later. Bye.